Okay. Another day of practicing guitar every day. Um, Man, I feel today was such a weird day. Um, Essentially, I went uh to like kind of a leftist, like kind of like socialist meeting thing, and you can't escape the fact that you are always beholden to your electorate. Like you have to act in the average of everyone's morality instead of just your own. And I get that that's a thing that happens all the time, but it's like, what do you do if the average of everyone's morality is fucked? I don't know. I don't know what you do in that case. Um, and at the end of the day, they want the same thing that I want. And, at the end of the day, they want the same thing I want, and it's all on the same side. But I don't know. It's just how do I say this? I think that also I have to be very careful. I shouldn't say some things on here. I don't think. But I think that when you talk about certain topics, people get very scared. Um, and I think that you can frame those topics in a way that makes sense and isn't so scary, right? Like when someone says, I think the main thing I'm thinking of is like when people say defund the police, right? People get really scared because they're like, oh my god, what are you gonna do about incarceration? What are you gonna do if someone like just murders like 20 people or something in a school shooting? Where are you gonna put those people, right? If you don't have the police. Here's the thing about the police. I don't know if you've ever interacted with them, but they can't really do anything. They're not required to do anything. And they don't do anything. And when you say defund the police, it doesn't mean you don't have any like sort of force that can enforce laws, right? It means that you move resources away from militarizing them into things that will actually make your community safe, right? Like if everyone has money and food and housing, right? They don't feel the need to rob you, you know? They don't feel the need to attack you or cuz they want to protect their own, you know, comfort in life, right? And people only do these things typically um either A because they have some sort of mental illness, right? Or B because they've been put into a situation that has forced their hand to act aggressively, right? Both of those things, right, th- aren't solved by putting more money into your police force. Um, and I think that was the topic that was coming up for me today. Um, and it just made me feel kind of like when you're in like a fringe group, right? You would you think you're escaping, the larger uh I think I think I I get, I fall into this illusion sometimes that like you kind of think, oh, everyone in this smaller fringe group will think like me, but no, not all of them will. Even though they'll be closer to your way of thinking, they won't all think like you. And you can all work together to get your goals done. But and if we have the same goals, we should work together, right? Like that's okay. But they won't all think the way you do, right? Like some will think that the police needs to be here. And I'm not saying the police has to be completely eradicated, even though they probably should be, right? And replaced with something else that's like unarmed and, you know, focused entirely on de-escalation, right? Like I think police should functionally act in my ideal world, if I could wave my magic wand, they would act as like security cameras. That's all they would be, right? They would go to a site, they would try to de-escalate, and then if something were to happen to the police, right, then you would have like a specialized task force that could be, utilized, right? But the first line of defense should be unarmed de-escalation, right? The fact that our police are armed is crazy here. It's because our citizenry is armed, but like, I would de-arm the police. I would de-arm them. I would defund them. But I don't know. I'm a crazy radical, and maybe I don't know how the real world works, and that's what people will say. But yeah, that's what I think. That's how I felt today, and that was just kind of what's going through my mind. And that's where I am in my emotional state. And I think I got some guitar practice in. I did my scales, my pentatonics, but I'm gonna do more practice after this. But I think this is also kind of like a video diary of my mental state, right? Um. Uh. Yeah, this is like almost a video diary of my mental state. And so this is what I'm thinking about a lot today. Also, is that the Isaiah Rashad concert, fucking awesome. Really cool concert. It's my first time like sitting down at a concert. Uh, I'm normally in the pit, but you can't bring your girl to the pit. Like it doesn't work. Uh, I mean you can, but but it's she. I didn't want her to be like bumped and stuff and not be able to see. So I think this was like a nice, chill middle ground, and it was cool. Because I've been listening to him since I was like in high school, and I was like, it was sick to see him in person, and that's kind of what my mental state's at today. Also, another thing that gave me hope is that I realized that like in all of like It's Been Awful, he doesn't use the B word once, right? And that was an intentional choice, right? I noticed it more when he like juxtaposed his old songs with his new songs. I was like, wait a minute, he didn't use the B word once in this whole album, and that was an intentional choice. And I like that. I like that like this album that's doing really well and is very, intimate, uh, was like made that conscious choice. I'm happy to see like hip hop moving in that direction. And maybe it's not a monotonic move. Like maybe there'll be ups and downs with all things, but I like that. Yeah, it's not so. It's getting better. I think it's getting better. At least with Isaiah Rashad, it's getting better. All right, but hey, let's play. And then we're gonna go to bed. Well, we're gonna play, do our freestyle, play some more, and then go to bed. But this is where our playing's at today. All right. Sorry, I think my fingernails are a little long, so it's like I need to cut them. But let me try that again. Oh, dang. I wasn't. Okay. I don't think my fingers are showing there, but. Shit. Uh, fuck. Um. I mean, I think it's probably fine, right? It's fine, right? What do you think, Lonnie? My fingers weren't showing in my guitar video. My fingers weren't showing in the guitar video. Do I have to re-record it? You think it's fine? All right. Lonnie thinks it's fine. I think it's fine. All right. Uh, yeah. I was essentially all I was doing was like a D minor kind of thing to like I was like doing. Where was I at? Was I over here? Yeah, I was just essentially playing with that D minor shape. I think I really like doing that. Like I'm gonna start doing that 'cause it gives me a whole new sound when I like just like pick a chord, play around with it, and like note I'm gonna be like playing with that chord. And maybe what I'll do, today was the D minor chord, and I think I'll keep doing that and getting good at it. But I think what I might try to do is like play the D minor chord right here in one position, and then try to find how I could play it like right around there, right, like left or right of it in the mat in the cage system, right? So if I was in the D shape there, the shape before it I think would be um G D would be the E shape, right? So the E shape would be where my would be the next place, right? So um yeah, I think that might be something like pick a chord and solo with it, and then once I get good with that, I'll start picking multiple chords, right? So like instead of just being in the pentatonic and playing around with the pentatonic, I think I can get a whole different sound if I like pick a chord, play in that chord, and then maybe pick a couple chords that I'm gonna solo between. So today was D minor, but maybe tomorrow I'll do like D minor to like a C major or something, depending on how I'm feeling. Um, I think that might be a good way to solo. I don't know. But that's it for today. I'll catch you guys on the next one.